Servus, Freunde. My name is Jimmy Cage.
And I'm Deniz.
You know what, buddy? I think I've had enough. Get the hell out of here and never ever come back.
What? What did I do?
Servus, Freunde. My name is Jimmy...
Sorry, Mr. Cage. I have to stop this. Copyright infringement.
What? Wait a minute. Out. Servus, Freunde. My name is Jimmy Cage. Servus, Freunde. My name is Jimmy Cage. Buddy, this is getting old. Servus, Freunde. My name is Jimmy Cage. I don't want to fight anymore, Buddymeister.
Me neither.
Servus, Freunde. My name is Jimmy Cage.
And I'm Deniz, the Buddymeister.
We have reviewed more than 400 Indian movies on the channel, and today's one was once again picked directly for us by one of our awesome MAZHA tier supporters. Binon Mohammed has chosen the Malayalam language comedy MAZHA PEYYUNNU MADDALAM KOTTUNNU.
MAZHA PEYYUNNU MADDALAM KOTTUNNU can be translated as it is raining and Maddalam is playing. The Maddalam is a drum made out of the wood of the jackfruit tree. It was written by Sreenivasan and directed by Priyadarshan. It stars Mohanlal, Mukesh, Sreenivasan, Jagati Srikumar, Lissi and many others. It can be quite chaotic, but that's exactly what it wants to be.
Priyadarshan comes around every now and then. We reviewed Chitram, we did Tenmavin Combat, I also reviewed Kalapani, and just recently we had a rather troubling experience with Mitunam. But let's come to today's movie.
So, story. MAZHA PEYYUNNU MADDALAM KOTTUNNU, should we just call it MPMK? What's it about? In essence, it's a love story. There's Madhavan, who just came back from the USA, and his schoolmate Shambhu, who's working as a driver at his family's house. Madhavan's parents want him to get married to Shobha, the daughter of Sardar Krishna Kurup, a rich businessman. Madhavan, who wants to observe his fiancée from a distance, decides to go to her house, dressed as a driver, and makes Shambhu act as himself. The good old game of switching identities. Shortly after they leave, his parents call her parents though and tell them about this scheme. But on the way to Shobha, Madhavan discards his plan without anybody knowing about it, and chaos ensues.
What else? To call this movie a senseless comedy flick like some reviewers did might sound a bit downgrading. This was actually a lot of fun, though it took some time for us, at least 20 or 30 minutes, to get into it. We get to know a lot of characters, there's a lot of fast talking, and of course we only have subtitles. And above all, we see a few characters that almost look the same. So yeah, it wasn't easy.
But it gets better.
And the movie gets better with almost every minute. It even got to the point where we were laughing tears. And I can only imagine how many jokes we missed or didn't understand because of the language barrier.
Yeah, I really didn't expect to be laughing that hard. But listen, I love anarchistic comedies. I love the Marx Brothers movies, I love the Pink Panther movies. Anchorman is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love movies that lose control, where people dress up or look dressed up and do all kinds of nonsense, and where all this nonsense is permitted because the world in which the story is set allows it.
Yeah, the base for all the nonsense in MPMK is the comedy of errors. In that sense, the plot is quite cleverly worked out. Some people know about Madhavan's plan, some don't. And when he changes the plan, everything's upside down again. It's a good foundation for a lot of shenanigans. And especially Mohanlal and Sreenivasan seem to have had the time of their lives as Shambhu and Madhavan.
Oh yes, all of this doesn't really have a lot of depth, but it's not like the movie tries to be anything else but an anarchistic entertainer.
But then again, Priyadarshan has a reputation of adding a little social themed spice into the mix. Of course, this is in no way a political movie or anything, but there are undercurrents and comments about the dynamics between an employer and his employee, about being poor and being rich.
And of course, the way someone is portrayed that just returned from the United States.
Yes, it's a nice little joke that Madhavan wants to be called M.A. Davan. Ma Davan. Because it has more style and coolness.
For quite some time, this actually feels like two movies, because we see two love stories that aren't really coming together in the end. One story is Shambhu and Shobha with Madhavan as the third wheel. The other story is Shiva and Aruna with Damu as the third wheel.
They are very similarly structured, but don't really overlap story-wise. But it also doesn't really matter, because this movie is simply an ongoing succession of jokes. Each scene provides some new kind of rubbish.
Be it a wonderfully exaggerated sword fight, a helplessly romantic and soppy reconciliation, or a running gag with changing costumes. It's a slapstick extravaganza.
Which is also reflected in the music and the sounds. There's a lot of Mickey Mousing in this movie, meaning that a specific event is accompanied with a certain sound or a musical tune.
Get out, house!
It's very cartoonish, but if it's the right movie, it fits.
And there are two song and dance numbers. The first one is a rather simple and classic love song with Shambhu and Shobha. The second, though, is pretty fun. It has all the characters in it: Shambhu, Shobha, Shiva, Aruna, Madhavan and Damu. The latter two are more or less dragged through the mud here, while the four lovers are as happy as they come.
Yeah, I think both songs are a lot of fun. Now, let's talk about the batshit crazy finale of this movie. The last 10 to 15 minutes are, well, batshit crazy.
The finale is pure gold. For me, it's 11 out of 10, but I don't do that. It's the total loss of control. Everything is possible. I loved it, and I laughed so hard.
Me too. I didn't expect it to be that crazy, to be honest. We already had that insane fight sequence between Shambhu and the bodybuilder slash martial arts goons, but those final minutes are on a completely different level. The police is shooting everything to pieces. People are flying through windows and walls. Everybody thrashes everybody. It's great.
And I think it made us completely forget about a few redundant scenes before that, and the difficulties that we had with the movie at the beginning.
Absolutely. So, what would we say in German about MAZHA PEYYUNNU MADDALAM KOTTUNNu?
MAZHA PEYYUNNU MADDALAM KOTTUNNu ist eine kompromisslose Komödie, die vor allem am Ende sämtliche Register zieht. Wir haben wahrscheinlich nur die Hälfte aller Gags verstanden, aber wir haben uns dennoch köstlich amüsiert.
I give MAZHA PEYYUNNU MADDALAM KOTTUNNu 7 out of 10. It's more like 7.4, but I don't do that.
For me, it's also 7 out of 10. It's more like 7.3, but I don't do that either. Did you know that Mohanlal was crowned the Kerala State Wrestling Champion in 1977 and 1978?
Wow, that came out of nowhere. Didn't know that. So, what are your thoughts about MAZHA PEYYUNNU MADDALAM KOTTUNNu? Leave a comment. You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd and also on Patreon, simply at the Jimmy Cage.
And you can hit me up on Twitter at the Buddymeister.
And as always, if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like.
And make sure you hit that bell for all we have to tell.